Sunday, June the 14th, and believe it or not, the New York Knicks are world champions. What? Yeah, it happened. My name is Frankie from Flatbush. This is Coffee with Frankie. This is the coffee right here. I'm the Frankie. And your Knicks are world champions. We also got the World Cup going on, so a lot of world things are happening. But before we get started with the show, let's listen to the Frankie from Flatbush theme song.
Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger sharp like a vintage wine. Everybody knows his name from porch to stoop. Hustle and dreams in every loop. In the park he starts, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a confident grin on the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near. He's got the rhythm, everybody cheers. Corner talks and sidewalk chalks his fame. In the Flatbush breeze you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway on the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go.
We go. A lot of people too excited. There's not a lot going on with the Jets. We got 4 people in here. We got Phil Adams in here. He's a member of the Inner Circle. Maybe you should be a member of the Inner Circle. $2 a month gets you extras. But we'll see how it goes today. There's not a lot of news in terms of the Jets. And it's a this is the lull period as far as the Jets are concerned. And the NFL in general. This is the time of year when people take vacations. They get ready for the season, which really starts in late July. So these are a couple of weeks coming up here where there really isn't going to be that much. The Jets will wrap up their sort of mini camp OTAs type of situation next week. Some of the teams have been canceling their mandatory mini camps and so forth. They're saying, go ahead, take a little early vacation. I don't think the Jets have announced that they're doing that, so there's going to be a couple more days of mandatory minicamp where everybody got to come in, do the final practices before the real break, which is about 5 weeks long. These football players do get a lot of time off these days. You can't say they don't. But we'll see if they address all this start stop, 3 days here, 4 days there. Then you get this time off, that time off. We'll see if they address that in the CBA negotiations. But, who knows? But some of the other topics that are coming up, the World Cup is here. And, of course, at MetLife Stadium, they put down a thin layer of grass to placate the FIFA people. Not real grass. It's a little bit better, I guess, than artificial turf, but that's not going to really do much in terms of moving the needle for the NFL. So there's that. Other than that, that's what's really going on in the world of sports. We got the World Cup. We have all these people coming to America and posting on social media, and it's really been fun to watch. A lot of these Europeans, like old Phil Adams over here, he's a European. And all these Europeans are coming over here, and they're having a hell of a time. And they're posting on their social media, and they can't believe Buc-ee's, they can't believe Chick-fil-A, they can't believe this and that. They're having a great old time, and everybody's being nice to them, which is good. They're saying Americans are very friendly, which you like to see. And we like to take their sales tax dollars, so we should be nice and friendly to them. Helps our economy. So not that it needs too much help, but, hey, tourism's a big thing. Tourism's a big thing where I am. In fact, I'm in the number one touristy area in America. Central Florida beats out Las Vegas even in terms of, and it's not even close, in terms of tourism. People really love coming to the Disney properties and SeaWorld and everything else we got down here. Now, if you are in, like old Phil Adams over here, Scots are having fun. Yeah, there's a bunch of Scottish guys. There's a guy named Freddie from Germany. He's getting a lot of attention. There's a Scottish guy who's getting a lot of attention. There's some South African people who are getting attention, and they're saying they can't believe what a great country America is. They've been told lies by the media. Lies. So there are some Scots here. They're playing their bagpipes sometimes, but they're loving it. Everybody is putting on their social media. They're having a great time, so you love to see it. I mean, some of these things, like a Buc-ee's or a Bass Pro Shop. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a Bass Pro Shop. Doesn't sound too exciting until you understand what it is. And these are just some things we have. I mean, outdoor world. If you're an outdoorsman, you like fishing, okay? You like hunting, okay? You like some of these things, you go to a Bass Pro, what is it called? Bass Pro Shop, and blow your mind. And these people are going, what is this? We don't have these things where we come from. So they're having a great time, and you love to see it. We love those touristy dollars. That's for sure. JoJo's here. And, he's saying he appreciates my tweets. Yeah, a lot of you need to appreciate the tweets more. The world is happening on X. It really is. If you're using social media, you should really be on X. That's really... I saw some stats today. X is just killing everybody. So in terms of daily average users and things like that. So if you want to know what's going on, check out X. Check me out on X, at Flatbush Frankie. Yeah, the Knicks won despite the refs trying to give it away now. And Wemby being a little bitch. And, it was pretty clear that the NBA wants Wemby to be the next guy. He's pretty gangly and awkward to be the next. Like back in the day, everybody knew the NBA wanted and did have Michael Jordan be the guy. But Michael Jordan was fun as hell to watch. That was an athlete. Even if you didn't like him, He's going against your team. You can't deny the dude is, phenomenal to watch, just like Kobe, just like some of these other dudes. But Wemby's not fun to watch. Wemby's weird looking. But he is handsome, so of course that's part of the equation, believe it or not. So I feel good for all the old timers. I feel great for Patrick Ewing, who was in attendance, okay, and John Starks and all these people, and the Oakleys of the world, and the Mark Jacksons of the world, and all these old former Knicks who tried very hard, had some good teams, but could never get over the hump. Well, this team did, because those teams didn't have Jalen Brunson. That's what they were missing. What a player. Unbelievable story, unbelievable guy, a humble superstar who, doesn't always look pretty. It doesn't always have the best stat line in the world. Doesn't always come out firing in the first quarter. But when it counts, that man gets it done. And that's really actually, people often say, the heart of a champion. You've heard this phrase. He's got the heart of a champion. You know what that means, though? It doesn't mean you really want it badly. It doesn't mean that you try hard. It means that you're able to perform at your best when your best is required in the most pressure-filled situations. And you're able to perform and pull your team to victory. That's what it means. This is what sort of occurred to me thinking about Jalen Brunson, the heart of a champion. What does it really mean? Because there's so many guys that say, and actually probably do, really want it really bad. I just wanted it really bad and all this. But then when it comes time to perform, they can't perform. So then you don't have the heart of a champion. It may be nice and you may be, you have something, but that's not what it is. You actually have to perform. In the case of basketball, you got to get buckets and stops when you need them. You can't say you're a heart of a champion and then clanging it off the rim, missing layups and all this. You got to actually put the ball in the fucking bucket. And in football, it means scoring touchdowns. You can't say you have the heart of a champion and then you can't score a touchdown. No. So they just showed you it can be done. With the Knicks, it can be done. They did it 53 fucking years. 53. And they got off the schneid. 53 years. And so now we're sitting here, 57 years for the Jetsies. And I said on X, and I do put out some excellent posts, I must say. As you see right here I am on X. I said, the Knicks just showed it can be done. This is right after they won. Right? The Jets are next. Right? Jet the fuck up. Didn't get a lot of traction, 70. I don't have a big following. Here's King Brunson. All right. Job finished. I really like this graphic. He's got the skulls of all the teams that they beat. This is a nice graphic put together by Fireside Knicks. So, but the idea is the Knicks just showed it can be done. They got a terrible owner. Everybody hates Jim Dolan pretty much. They probably like him a little more now, but, just like they hate, for the same reasons that they hate Woody. It's a Nepo baby owner. And, couldn't get it done just for a long time. Took him forever to get his fucking act together, Dolan. Then he finally hires the right general manager, puts together the right team. They fired the coach controversially last year, and then they get a new coach, and obviously he pushed all the right buttons, and so it can be done. I mean, Dolan and Woody Johnson, the parallels there are, obvious. Super wealthy, Nepo babies, golden spoon in their mouth when they were born and all that. Everybody hated them. And some people still do hate them, of course. But it can be done. If Jim Dolan can do it with the Knicks, then Woody Johnson can do it with the Jetsies. No doubt about it. Hi, Karate's here. He's excited about the Knicks. Wemby is one dirty player. That was my take. Yeah, he's dirty. He's a choker. You notice he doesn't perform. He doesn't have a heart of a champion. He performs his worst when his best is required. Fourth quarter, he misses everything. Free throws, shots. He just disappears. He shrinks. For a 7'6" guy, I never seen such a small man in the fourth quarter. What a little pussy. And he's dirty. They refuse to call the same things they call on the Knicks. They refuse to call on him. Why is that? How's that fair? This flagrant foul, if you put your foot in the landing zone of the shooter, that's a new thing for me anyway. Back in the day, we didn't have that. But, the Knicks do it, and it's flagrant foul and the worst thing in the world, and, Wemby does it. They don't even call it. Oh, he gets away with it. Oh. Pretty obvious the NBA wanted him to be the next superstar, and I don't know if it's going to work. He's young, so maybe in the future he'll play better in the fourth quarter. But as of right now, he's just a crybaby, bitch, punk, dirtbag, and a choker. All the worst things you could possibly be. Second place Wemby. They should just call him second place Wemby. Somebody was pointing out he always came in second place, and even in these international competitions and so forth. He is from France, so I guess he probably knows how to retreat really well. But, he's a bitch. Didn't shake hands with the Knicks after the game. He apparently didn't shake hands with the Thunder after that series was over as well. He's just a little bitch. You can be as tall as you want. It doesn't mean you got character. That's what we know. Can the Jets? Yeah, can. Now, the interesting thing is that Woody Johnson, now there's a lot of Jet players, so there's a couple angles that are interesting for the Jets. One is that it can be done. It made me think of, what was that guy's name? Roger Bannister back in the day. Nobody could run a 4-minute mile or whatever it was. Remember, nobody in the entire, in thousands and thousands of years, nobody could run a 4-minute mile or whatever it was. And then Roger Bannister all of a sudden does it, and then like 3, 4, 5 other people after him did it. It's like once you break the seal, you can, once you show people what's possible, then more people can do it. Well, the Knicks just showed you what's possible for the Jets. 50 plus years. One of the guys said, yeah, this Knick jersey used to be so heavy. That really resonated with me. Somebody said, this Knick jersey used to be so heavy to wear every night, meaning all the history of failure and everything else. And now it's light as a feather. Well, the Jet jersey's a little heavy, isn't it? So, but it can be done. And then besides that, you got a lot of the guys are big basketball fans. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Jeremy Ruckert, all these dudes. A lot of football dudes are big basketball fans. They love basketball as well. So they're seeing what's going on, and they're seeing think about like Garrett and Breece and Gino and all the guys watching the reaction of the fans. All of those pictures of the fans out in the streets watching the game on a building site. Somebody's projecting the fucking game on a building. That was phenomenal. And there's just massive crowds everywhere, and everybody's going crazy. If you're a Jet player and you're not looking at that and thinking, man, that could be us. We could be having that for our fans. It's phenomenal. So, there are a lot of parallels. And then on top of all that, Woody Johnson he was at one of the games and might have been at more of the games. And so he's sitting there, probably talking to Jim Dolan about, hey, how'd you get it done, Jimmy? What was the key to this success? And he would probably say, well, I hired the right general manager, and then I got out of the fucking way and stopped being, meddlesome. And hopefully he did tell him that. And hopefully Woody did hire the right general manager. So far, so good for Mr. Mougey. See how he does in the future. But hopefully Jim Dolan told him, yeah, once you're comfortable with your GM and coaches, get out of the way, sign the checks, and just get the fuck out of the way. Don't talk to the media, and just get out of the way. And if you're put together the right kind of team, then it can get done. JoJo says, hopefully the Knicks championship motivates the Jets. Well, it's not going to motivate them, but man, I mean, they're already sufficiently motivated. But if they're not looking at the crowds and going, wow, look what could happen with this city. Now, it's not the same exactly because the Knicks play at the Mecca, right? They play right in Manhattan. It's a little different. We play out in New Jersey. So it's not exactly the same, but it'd be similar. I mean, I guess there would be watch parties in the boroughs, I guess, if the Jets were making a run. I don't know. But it is a little different when Madison Square Garden is right in the middle of Manhattan and stuff like that. It's a little different, but yeah, they got to be looking at these parties and these huge crowds and the fan response and all of the celebrities, although the celebrities are annoying, of course, but still, all of this going on and the whole city just being united behind the team and all this. It's not going to motivate them, but they got to be going, man, this is incredible. What could be done? It helps them kind of dream about what could be done, and they've seen it can be done. 53 years. You can overcome. 53 years. It's the Roger Bannister thing. Now we got to overcome 57 years. Joe Mike is here. Joe Mike is part of the inner circle, and you might want to be part of the inner circle. By the way, Joe and Phil and anybody else who's an inner circle member, watch for a post today. A very important post will come. I'm going to be requesting your assistance of review of a document. Okay, very important document. A very important document. Members of the inner circle, don't forget to check your posts today. It'll come out probably right after this live stream. We got 21 people in here, so probably not going to be a long one. Probably a lot of people still hung over from the Knicks celebration, and also not a lot going on with the Jets. But yeah, if you're in the inner circle, $2 a month gets you tons of stuff, and you get early access to exciting publications, let's just say, among many other things. Boss Girl is here. NBA went into finals looking to anoint the French pool noodle and protected him. He wound up taking advantage of that, and in so doing, proved himself to be a selfish, dirty scumbag. NBA should have picked JB. Yeah, everybody is going to hate on JB because he doesn't have the panache. He doesn't have... All he is just a fundamentally sound guy with the heart of a fucking champion. He doesn't jump the highest. He doesn't, the tallest. He just got the heart of a champion, that's all. Sometimes that's all you need. And a good team around you. All right, so, well, we do have a column coming out from Rich Samini, so we can review this, take a look. Let's see what he's talking about. It's not important. Yeah, this is one of the worst columns ever written. So we don't have, we're not going to be able to look at this, unfortunately. Jets do open a 3-day mandatory minicamp on Tuesday. Former coach Rex Ryan might be there, visit his son Seth Ryan. So there's that. But this is just basically any of the... what was weird this week? This is just some of the quotes that the Jets had this week, and then what what the columnists really do is they take these quotes from the press conferences and they scratch a column out of it. Anybody could do that, really. It's crazy. Crazy easy. But yeah, that's not a good column. We're not going to take a look at that. And JoJo said, would have been nice to have that stadium in New York like Woody wanted. Yeah, you know who crushed it? Jim Dolan. Jim Dolan didn't want the competition in Manhattan, and so he worked through his mouthpiece, Mike Francesa. Mike Francesa went on the radio every day and turned fan sentiment against it. And then once the sentiment went south, then the politicians had permission basically to kill it. So, yeah, that was because of Jim Dolan that Woody didn't get that. He tried. I mean, you got to give the man credit. He tried. He can't force the politicians to approve it. So, yeah, he tried his best. Didn't happen. Bag and Artie's here. Ponds, yeah, it reminds you a little bit of Ponds. The size of the fight in the dog versus the size of the dog in the fight, and all that. Definitely reminds you of that. We'll have to see what happens with Wemby. There was a lot revealed here in this playoffs about him. That's not good. If the NBA was trying to crown him as the next after LeBron, now they need another one because LeBron is going to retire at some point. Maybe he'll play till he's 50. I don't know. But, LeBron was the next one to take over after Kobe and Shaq and that whole era. And then now he's had a long run, and along with Steph Curry and all this. But now the NBA needs the next guy. And they were hoping it'd be Wemby. But Wemby is not fun to watch, number one. He's just weird and awkward. And then number two, he has all these negative traits. He's dirty. He whines. He cries. People don't like him. And then he chokes down the stretch, most importantly. He doesn't show up when he needs to show up. So it'd be interesting to see if the NBA rethinks their strategy of who's the next guy they're going to put on a pedestal. But I don't know. Joe Mike says, I'll be at the parade on Thursday, a once-in-a-lifetime experience that I will share with my boys. Yeah, just stay safe. It's going to be a wild time. Every Knick fan who's ever been a Knick fan is going to be showing up, so it's going to be wild. That'll be something else that's also wild. With regard to our players looking at it. Like, our players can start to dream now, the Jet players, that is. When they're doing the parade and it's just wild and crazy and millions of people start coming out, our guys are going to be looking at that going, wow, that could be us. That could be us. So you get to dream and think it's actually possible. That's the thing. It's a Roger Bannister thing. You can actually believe it's possible. The Knicks just showed you it can be done. Doesn't have to be overwhelming. You can overcome 53 years of shitty play. So, yeah, very exciting times for Knicks fans. Pretty cool to see all this going on for the city as well. It would have been one thing if they beat a team that wasn't so easily hateable. Now, I will say the Spurs do have a bunch of dudes who are really good and likable. Yeah, Castle and Vassell and Dylan, what's his name, the lefty shooter. They got a lot of young dudes that are likable players. So that's one thing. And they must be looking at Wemby going, dude, can you be a little less hateable, and you maybe throw fewer elbows in people's necks? We're trying to do something here. you know. But they do have a good team. But they lost, and everybody said, "Oh, the Knicks have an easy run to the champions." Never an easy run. Easy run. Only team that had an easy run was the Patriots. Can we get the same energy about the Patriots? But they said they had an easy run against, who they played in the playoffs, and they're going to get killed in the championship because the Western team is much better. And they won in 5. Biggest comeback in NBA Finals history, 29 points, and the iconic image is going to be OG Anunoby with the tip-in. That's going to be the iconic image of this playoffs and of the NBA Finals. That's an iconic image that's gonna go down in New York sports history. One thing, Jalen Brunson is now one of the top players in New York sports history. When they talk about all of the greats in New York sports history, Jalen Brunson is now in that group. But the image that's going to last over time is that OG Anunoby tip-in, which is just an incredible image, no matter what angle you look at it from. That play is going to live on in history. So that's what we got going on there. JoJo says, looking forward to watching Omar Cooper play this season. I think he's going to be solid. Yeah. Joe Mike says, mad respect for Harrison Phillips standing up the NFL about grass and stadiums. If it's good for the World Cup, why can't it be good for NFL players? Good for him and make it happen. Yeah, these people can say whatever they want, but it's not going to happen like that. Number one, we've been through this a million times, Joe, so it's a little tired of the story. But number one, the just putting over a thin layer of grass over concrete doesn't really help NFL players. Remember, soccer is a lot different than NFL football. In soccer, there's just a bunch of men getting their cardio in. They're just running up and down the field. They're very light people. And in football, there's 300-pound men getting driven into the ground every play. It's a lot different. So what the Jets would have to do is actually install a hybrid system, and it's a lot more involved than just putting a thin layer of grass over the top of the surface. So for football, it's a lot different. What they're going to have to do is negotiate it into the collective bargaining agreement, and we'll see if they have the balls to do that. Because to me, they've been saying all this stuff for a long time. It's the same quotes. How if they can do it for them, they can't do it for us. It's like, yeah, because it's totally different. And number two, you have to negotiate it. Like, I will respect the NFLPA if they stick to their guns and negotiate it into the CBA. That's when I will respect them, not just talking about it. They've been talking about it. It's not going to help. What you need to do is have actual balls and actually stand up to the owners and say, we're not going to play on those stupid-ass services unless you change it and put it into the CBA and put something on the line. Because if you do that, then you're putting your money on the line, because the owners could wait you out and say, no, that's not negotiable. And you say, okay, well, we're not going to play then. That's when you really get respect. They've been doing too much talking. Now it's time to do negotiating and take action and say, no, this is not negotiable from the player side. And you think that's going to happen? It's not. I mean, I will be pleasantly surprised. But don't forget, the union just voted J.C. Treader to be their president again. He's not going to get this. He's not. They made the wrong choice with that, and therefore they're not going to get it. It's not going to happen. Yeah, guys will complain about it. They'll talk about it. It doesn't do you any good. There's billions and billions of dollars on the line for that stadium, in particular, just talking about the Jet Stadium, and they're not going to just give that up because you want it to happen. Like, that stadium is one of the most profitable stadiums in the world, by the way. And they're not going to give up a lot of that profit for 8 games at a stadium. when now they have the same playing surface, the same type of artificial surface as all the other ones now. So MetLife is no different than any other artificial turf stadium in the NFL now. So they did that, and that's all they're going to do. They did the best they could with what they got. And unless you force them to in collective bargaining, they're not going to do it. So there it is. Kind of like the 1980 USA hockey team. The second to last game was more climactic. Yeah, there's a couple of times when this happens where it's like something gets remembered, and then like 20, 30 years down the road, people are going to think that tip in was like at the end of the clinching game, and then other people are going to go, actually there was a whole other game after that they had to win. And people forget. That's going to be one of those things. But since they did win the very next game, and there wasn't much, there was drama, but it wasn't like they lost, and then, then that tip-in is going to become basically the symbol of the win, that the series win that the Knicks had. It'll become the symbol. And then everyone will say, did you know actually they had to play a next game the next after that? Yeah. Sadly, the grass wouldn't. Yeah. Yeah, they just put in a thin layer of grass to satisfy FIFA. That's all they did. It wouldn't work for the NFL. For the Jets and Giants, it's not just the Jets, it's also the Giants. To do it, you would need a hybrid system like they have in Green Bay and like they have in, I think Kansas City also has that, and then Buffalo is doing that. So you would have to do it. You would basically have to rebuild the whole stadium the way Buffalo's building it. Like the way Buffalo's building their stadium right now, I don't know if you guys have been following that, but the Buffalo Bills are going to have a new stadium. They have a hybrid grass system, which is what you need, because you have to run heat under there. It's a whole system. You can't just have grass and dirt like it's Marine Park. It's a professional thing and takes millions and millions of dollars to upkeep it. It's sophisticated, complicated. This is not Marine Park. This is a professional stadium where they have to have concerts and soccer games and football and everything else that they do there. That makes it one of the most profitable venues on earth. MetLife Stadium is one of the most profitable venues on earth. It's an unbelievable venue. It's not an unbelievable football stadium. It's an unbelievable venue. And therefore, a great investment by the Jets and Giants owners, but Woody and the Maras and all them. But if they wanted to change it, they would have to build a stadium the way that Buffalo Bills are building their stadium. Check out some of those videos and stuff. It's very complicated, but the Buffalo Bills stadium is going to be phenomenal. So they just committed to this level now. They're building it today. We built this in 2010? That was 15 years ago. The world was a lot different back then. And started building it even earlier than that, obviously. That's when it went up, I think, if memory serves. And the world was a lot different. If they built it today, they'd probably do exactly what the Bills are doing. But they're not doing it today. And they're not tearing it down anytime soon. It's only 15 years old. So you got at least 15, maybe 25 more years at this stadium. And then maybe at that point, they might tear it down and build something modern. But they're going to do it on the same location. So there's no point in talking about the stadium or the field turf or anything else if the union goes ahead and negotiates it into the CBA. I will be impressed. I will be surprised. In fact, I'll be shocked. I think they're going to bring it up. I think they're eventually going to concede that point, though. It'll be one of those things on their negotiating list that they say, we want this, we want this. And then eventually when they get into the negotiation, they'll say, all right, we'll concede that. There will be one of those ones that they give a concession for that they know they couldn't really get anyways. And therefore they get something else that they want that's on their list. More money, basically. And so that's how I think it'll go. They nominated J.C. Treader again, which was dumb. They should have went with a true union man who knows how to negotiate instead of a former player. The former player should be advisory, but you need somebody who's a lawyer and a union lawyer and a tough as nails union lawyer. And they had a couple of those candidates and they didn't choose them. So that's not good. Doesn't make me optimistic that the Players Association knows what the fuck it's doing. Now, they'll get a good deal. They'll get more money. They'll get, certain concessions. But that one, I really doubt it. And if they do get it, well, then I'll give them all the flowers because I'll be proven wrong. But I just don't see it happening. I think they're gonna make like they really want it, but in the end, they'll concede that one in order to get more money and other things that they want. Joe Mike says, what was up with the Spurs court yesterday? Slippery than a slip and slide? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they maybe they tried to do what the Dolphins did in the Mud Bowl. I don't know. Check out the lyrics to the Springsteen song Wrecking Ball. It's written from the point of view of the old Giant Stadium. Very creative writing. Well, Bruce Springsteen is a Giants fan, so fuck that guy. The thing about Stinkstein is he used to be okay. When he was first coming out and he was singing songs like My Hometown. Remember that one? In my hometown. I can't sing, but remember that one? That was a good one. When he was singing songs like that for the blue collar worker and all this, it was great. But then he went to Hollywood and everything changed. He became Hollywood Stinkstein. And then it all changed. Sad. Phil Adams says Vegas Stadium with its inside field would work. Yeah. You would have to just go. I mean, it has to be a new building. They would have to build something brand new and then use the modern techniques that are now available and getting better all the time. But you can't. They built this too long ago, unfortunately. And the life of a stadium is about 30 years. So, 30, 40. This one is probably built to last. It's probably a 50-year stadium. So you're looking at 2060. So, look, complaining about the stadium, it's not gonna work. What I would say, is that apparently there's going to be some enhancements. Now, they always talk about the enhancements in the off season, but if you're somebody who goes to these games, I would be very curious to know if the fan experience this year in particular is any different from any of the other years. Now, I'm not going to go to any of the games. I'm down here in Florida. I'm not big on going to games anyway. I don't like the paparazzi, If I go anywhere, there's going to be paparazzi. There's going to be people, there's going to be mad dashes of people, wanting to get my autograph and all this. So, I try to keep, I try to keep that to a minimum. So, but for the people who do like to go to that stadium, I am told reliably by EWOW Facillo. Mr. EWOW says there's going to be a lot of enhancements to the stadium this year based on a lot of the data that they're collecting and the AI that they're using, actually, in terms of crowd flows and, just the overall fan experience in the stadium. So I would like to know if there actually is a noticeable difference this year than past years. If there is, then I think we really have something in this EWOW Fusillo fellow. He's our AI chief, for those who don't know, and data guru. But he's saying they're going to apply it to the fan experience. So I'm really curious as to whether it really does does anything noticeable. And if it doesn't, then all right, maybe this guy's just running his mouth. But if there are, that would be really interesting, because that's like a real world application of data and AI that actually improves something. And that would be very impressive, I think. And anything they could do to make the fan experience better is something they need to pursue urgently, obviously, because there's only so much you can do with the actual physical stadium and how far it is from where people are coming from to watch the game. They got to drive and be in the traffic and all this. They can't really do anything about that. And so that's always going to suck. But if they're able to make other kinds of improvements, and I don't know what they would be, then that would be very encouraging. That would be cool. And I'd like to hear about that. But you're not going to get a new stadium. You're not going to get a new surface unless, again, it's negotiated, which I totally doubt, seriously doubt. And you're not going to get a new stadium. They're not moving out of there anytime soon. The only thing that could happen by 2040 or 2050 is they knock that one down and then just put another one up in its place with more modern techniques and so forth. So, and who knows what those will be in the future. I mean, God knows. So that's the best you can really hope for with regard to that stadium. Mark Shichetti's here. What's up, Shichetti? You watch the Knicks, Shichetti? Joe Mike says, what about the USA 4-1 victory versus Paraguay? Yeah, anytime you're beating Paraguay by 3 goals. I mean, scoring 4 goals is a lot of goals, as Phil Adams will tell you, as a noted soccer fan. Scoring 4 goals is like, it's like an NFL team scoring 75 points. I mean, it's insane. All these other games are 0-0, 1-1, 1-0. We scored 4 goals on these fuckers. And Paraguay apparently is pretty good. They beat, from my understanding, didn't they beat Brazil and someone else who was good? These bigger countries, Paraguay is not a big country, but apparently they're very good, and then we kicked their asses. So, and this has a little badge of honor. Look, Joe Mike's been an Inner Square member for 2 or 3 months. That's very small. I can't really read that. But it tells you he's been on the inner circle / inner square. You know, he's been living that life for a certain period of time now. And there's a lot of value you get from the inner circle. I would suggest everyone should check it out. We got a publication that's probably coming out, and I'm going to ask the inner circle, inner square members to check it out so they get first dibs to look at this very impressive publication that's going to come out soon. They get early access. They get to have input and feedback. Frankie, this stinks. Or Frankie, change this. Or what about this? You forgot this, Frankie. They get to have feedback into a very interesting publication that's going to be coming out. So you might want to consider joining. I mean, it's $2 a month. The Inner Circle, I mean, they get exclusive videos. I mean, they've had videos with film study of Geno Smith through the years. Was 2025 really that bad? What about 2024? What about 2023? Well, they got film study videos exclusively for them where we answer that question. So, you know, you might want to consider joining. $2 a month is really not that much. Plus, it supports old Frankie. You know, we need the support. There's only 23 people in this damn chat room. Phil Adams says, good result for USA. Yeah. It's also good for the USA as the host country this year. We got all these Europeans coming over here, like I was saying earlier. It's also good for the host team to continue winning, to keep up the vibes in the stadiums for the Americans, and then you have all the tourists and everybody coming from all over the world, and then it's a nice mix and a good energy. So also good for that purpose. So hopefully they keep on winning for that reason. And hopefully all these Europeans and Asian folks from Japan and China and wherever they're coming from, they keep coming here and spending their monies and having a good time and thinking really good positive thoughts about the old US of A. Johnny's here. I'll see a new stadium before we get a Lombardi. No, we're going to get a Lombardi before a new stadium, Johnny. No way. That stadium's going to be there till 2060, buddy. At least. So we're going to get a Lombardi before that. The Knicks just showed you it could happen. What are you talking about? Been waiting since December of 1960. Well, they won the championship in 69, Johnny. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Did you miss the Joe Namath? Did you miss the finger wagging? You know, we got a finger wagger over here. So, yeah, they won the championship in 69. Now it's been 57 years, and we got to turn this fucking thing around. But the good news is the Knicks just showed you it can be done. And that's the beauty of it. It's the Roger Bannister moment. As soon as Roger Bannister ran a 4-minute mile or whatever it was, then everybody could do it. He broke the seal. Well, the Knickies just broke the seal, so now the Jets are looking at that going, hey, it can be done. Look at that. So I think a lot of the players, the Jet players, are looking going, wow, this is incredible. If we ever could do this. I mean, think about the story if it's Geno, too. I mean, not that we're going to win the Super Bowl this year, but even if we just make a playoff run, and if it's Geno, think about the stories. They just write themselves. I mean, geez. So many great stories. I don't know. I think it's going to be a fun year. So, all right. Last call for questions, comments. Only 22 people here. It's a lazy Sunday. Last call for questions, comments. Questions, comments, thoughts. It's a slow time. I don't know if I'm going to even do a coffee with Frankie next week. There's, the Jets have been very quiet this offseason. They are really moving in silence. I mean, and there's really nothing coming out. Aaron Glenn is going to have a press conference on Tuesday or Wednesday, so maybe some news comes out of that, but there's just, it's just a quiet time, and it's going to be a quiet time for the next month plus, the next 5 weeks. So maybe we won't do coffee with Frankie. We got 23 people in here. It's not like tons of people are tuning in. So we might take a week or two off. We'll see how it goes. Maybe there's some news. Who knows? But it's also good to rest up for the season. We got basically the football season starts with training camp. So basically the end of July is really when football season starts for content creators, people who are really into it. We'll be getting injury reports. We'll be getting, practice reports from the beat and all this. So that's really when it starts. And then soon after that will be the preseason games. So we'll have something to actually watch. And so, probably makes sense to take a week or two off, rest up, get ready. Phil Adams, Jets would be a bigger story because of the SOJ BS. Yeah, but the Knicks was the same thing. It's interesting. You wonder, probably the Knicks have a bigger fan base, you would think. Although, I don't know. Well, yeah, probably the Knicks, because the Knicks are the big brother of the Nets. Like, there's two basketball teams, but the Nets are the little brother of the Knicks, generally speaking. And especially now, more so. But the Jets are the little brother in the football world of the Giants, so the Giants probably have a much bigger fan base. I'm just guessing here. I don't have any data. But so I think the Knicks having a bigger fan base probably than the Jets is probably bigger for the Knicks. But the Jets have a huge fan base though too. So, it would be similar. It would be similar, as some people say in the South. It would be similar. All right, no other questions, comments coming in. Thank you for joining Coffee with Frankie. As I say, we'll probably take a week or two off from these. Let everybody simmer down as we prepare for the season, which will really begin at the end of July. Also, if you're in the inner circle or the inner square or the inner triangle, remember you're going to get a post today, a very important post for something I need your help with. So don't forget to check that out. Hank says something about the World Cup. And so, yeah, have fun watching the World Cup. Enjoy the Knicks being world champions, and maybe the Jets can be inspired to do something similar this season.